ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Take a look. This video from just moments ago shows U.S.S. Theodore Roosevelt pulling into San Diego Bay, returning from a long and tumultuous deployment. Thanks for joining us. I'm Virginia Cha. The Roosevelt left San Diego in January, and a lot has happened since then. The coronavirus exploded into a global pandemic. Then there was a major outbreak on the aircraft carrier that threw it into chaos. The captain was relieved of command, a story that led to national attention and debate. Hundreds of sailors tested positive. One of them died. Well, now the sailors returning home this morning. ABC 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala is at NAS North Island live right now. Mimi, after an atypical deployment, now an atypical homecoming as well.
Yeah, Virginia, this homecoming is nothing like what we've seen in the past. The ship arrived here just about an hour ago, and usually you'll see the families here on the pier waiting to greet the sailors, but during a pandemic, that's just not going to happen. The families are actually in 4 different parking lots standing by their cars. They're all social distancing and wearing masks. There will be no first kiss, but the sailors who became parents while deployed will be the first to get off the ship to greet their families. About 6,000 sailors deployed on January 17th for routine operations in the Indo-Pacific and to maintain security and stability in that region. And of course, there was that huge COVID-19 outbreak where 1,200 sailors tested positive. The ship had to pull into Guam so they can quarantine there. But everyone on the ship has now tested negative for the virus, so that is great news. And right now, we are expecting to hear from the Rear Admiral and the commanding officer of the Roosevelt. I believe they're speaking now, so let's go ahead and listen in. Okay, it looks like they're not speaking just yet, so let me give you a little bit of background. Like I mentioned earlier, there was a huge COVID-19 outbreak in early March. 1,200 sailors did test positive. They had to quarantine in Guam. Then the ship's commander at the time, Captain Brett Crozier, was actually fired after a letter he wrote to Navy leadership asking for help in containing the virus was actually leaked to the media. Last month, the Navy did uphold the decision to remove him from his post, saying Crozier just did not meet the standard expected from a commanding officer. They also said that he did not do enough soon enough. So now I believe they are talking, so let's go ahead and listen in.
Our strike group ships returning this week to San Diego, operating in the Indo-Pacific, fostering freedom of navigation and commerce in some of the world's most contested waterways. While U.S.S. Theodore Roosevelt arrived this morning along with U.S.S. Bunker Hill and U.S.S. Russell yesterday, 4 of our strike group ships that departed with us in January, including the U.S.S. Kidd, Paul Hamilton, Pinckney, and Rafael Peralta, continue to stand the watch in 4th, 5th, and 7th fleets. And our returning assets to San Diego this week remain postured to respond should we be called upon. I would like now to introduce the gentleman standing next to me, Captain Carlos Sardiello, the commanding officer of the U.S.S. Theodore Roosevelt.
Good morning, everyone. As Admiral Verissimo stated, I'm Captain Carlos Sardiello, commanding officer U.S.S. Theodore Roosevelt. I echo the Admiral's remarks and thank you for being here today to greet us. Theodore Roosevelt crew returned today to San Diego following a challenging and successful deployment to the Indo-Pacific. The Rough Riders served with pride, professionalism, and honor during the last 6 months. And the crew is incredibly excited to be back here at home to enjoy some downtime and visit with family and friends. The crew executed a wide range of missions, from conducting dual carrier ops to expeditionary strike force operations, air defense and joint exercises, interoperability exercises, highlighting the United States' ability to rapidly aggregate and deploy combat forces. Over the last 35 days, the crew has disinfected and cleaned the ship 3 times a day. We're screened for influenza-like illness symptoms, and we returned to San Diego this morning with 0 cases of COVID among the crew, embarked air wing, and the staffs. As you all are well aware, this deployment presented unprecedented challenges, and I'm incredibly proud of the Rough Rider team for their tenacity, and fortitude. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Public Affairs Officer to start the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you, Admiral. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. Again, the Admiral and the Captain are prepared to speak about deployment and our homecoming. For the first question, San Diego Union Tribune. Oh, go ahead, ma'am. So the feed is on the mic.
So the question was about concerns of the sailors coming back to the community with COVID ongoing in the community. Did I understand your question correctly? Much like any of the other sailors in the San Diego area, we're going to take those same precautions, wearing masks, screening sailors as they come on board, and several other formal instructions that we've given our sailors to stay safe and stay operationally capable as we integrate back into the community. Does that answer your question?
So you're listening to officers speaking who were with the U.S.S. Theodore Roosevelt strike group, and this is highly unusual. They don't typically have a news conference after a ship returns from a deployment, but of course they had such an unprecedented time of it out there with the COVID-19 outbreak on the ship. They are answering questions. Of course, you heard from Captain Carlos Sardiello, who took over command after Brett Crozier was relieved of command during the controversy of that outbreak. We, of course, are going to stay on top of some of the answers there to the questions as to what those sailors went through and the ship and what they do from here on out. And also, of course, for the families who are so happy to finally see their service members back here safe.